السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما واجعل التفرق بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تدع فينا شقيا ولا محروما، اللهم آمين. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most compassionate. I'm sorry, but I remembered my mother. I'm so sorry for that. Subhanallah. You know, brothers and sisters, I mean, what scares me? Every time I stand in a place facing a big number, I remember يوم الحشر. You know, I remember the judgment day. You will stand like this. So I'm always wondering, okay, we have the power to speak now. We can articulate, we can lie. When we stand before Allah, so sorry. Please forgive me, I'm not able to control myself. I'm so sorry for that. حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. استغفر الله العظيم. Rizq analysis. So the title is Rizq analysis. And the big slogan of this gathering is change yourself, change the world. So my job, respected brothers and sisters, basically is to do some kind of investigation, exploration, understanding, analyzing for our understanding for the concept of rizq. Now, basically, you know, we say no definition, no prohibition. Why I'm saying that? Now, the slogan of this gathering, change yourself, change the world. True or false? But how do I change myself? I need to change my perspective. I need to fix some possible misconceptions. I need to reorder the priorities and the values in my perspective, or otherwise, how I will change myself. So therefore, let me do the following. Imagine this is very simple. Imagine that this is an iPhone, for example. Imagine yourself now, any one of you, you are now, let's say 25, never ever in your life had an idea about what a mobile or a cell phone is. So definitely you have no idea about the value of iPhone 14, for example. So if I told you, for example, hey, would you like to have iPhone 14? Excuse me? iPhone 14. This is a piece of plastic for you. A piece of plastic which could be equal to garbage, literally. Simply because you have no idea. If I took you on a journey for 10 days and I showed you what do we do with these devices, and you started realizing what that camera does, what the communications do, How can you communicate your bank account with video editing, with pictures, with photos, with communications, and you had an idea about what Facebook is, what social media is, what TikTok, Instagram, something. Now you realized. Now your attitude, you're dealing with what's so-called so far piece of plastic. If I joked, I said I will throw it, it'll go, oh, please be careful. This is I-14. You realize now. You had a new perspective because of new knowledge. First of all, knowledge. No knowledge, nothing will change. That's why even though the core message of our religion is to worship Allah, literally, Allah says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Verily, indeed, I have not created the jinn and the human being, but to worship me. Yet the first ayah was revealed to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was not usjud or u'bud or irka. It was iqra. Because if there is no knowledge, there is no ibadah. No knowledge, nothing will happen. No change will happen at all. This is a big message for us. We are ummat iqra. We are the people of knowledge. So therefore, change yourself, change the world. We need to change the world, by the way. Yes, actually, our message is to change through just conveying the message, because the message of Islam is not our own priority. It's not for Arabs or Somalis or Pakistani or Yemeni. It's for Linnasi Kaffa. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was sent to all human race incomplete. So therefore, please, but we will be able not to do anything unless we realize we fix misconceptions, we change our perspective, we reorder the values of things that we used to think, then we will be changed. If we change, we will influence. We will be able to convey our message. Now, let me start fixing some possible misconceptions. Even though I'm supposed to talk about rizq, but to understand what rizq is, I need to understand square number one, to go back square number one. What is more important than rizq actually is al-razzaq, the sustainer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I need to understand before dealing with anwa' al-rizq, the importance of rizq, kinds of rizq, the ways of rizq, the whatever, the law of rizq, depending on what. Why should be halal? Depending on what? Allah, all of these details. Wait. Rizq is just a marginal issue, comes from the big origin, which is Razzaq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I need to have an idea about Ar-Razzaq, the sustainer. Then easily I can handle, I can understand, I can explain, I can analyze, I can study, I can investigate when, why, how, depending on what's the rizq, whether I'm able to deal with it or not. This will lead me, when speaking about Ar-Razzaq, to go to a very important concept about fixing misconception, which is At-Tawheed. Now say, Sheikh, for God's sake, we want you to speak out Ar-Rizq. What's the Tawheed? Yes. Brothers and sisters, if anyone asks you what distinguishes us as Muslims, what is it? Apart from all other followers of our religions, what is it? By the way, many millions of non-believers, they believe in the existence of Allah. Many millions of non-believers, they believe that Allah is a Razzaq. Am I inventing something from my mind, or it's in the Quran? وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ يَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ. They admit Allah's existence. وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ وَسَخَّرَ الشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ. They are idol worshippers. They admit the existence and He's controlling the universe as well. No problem with that. But they are non-believers. Why? Because the concept of Tawheed, as we understand, and Tawheed does not mean one, please. This is another possible misconception. Before, I want to deal with Rizq, but I'm going to a Razzaq, then I'm going to concept of Tawheed before dealing with the Razzaq. Back, solve it from the origin, from the principle, from the foundation, then easily you can handle what comes as an outcome of the origin. Our basic understanding for our religion that we are muwahhidun. What does it mean, muwahhidun? Does not mean that we believe just in one God. No. My biggest dalil for that, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ يَقُولُونَ اللَّهُ. They believe in Allah. They believe in His existence. But why they became non-believers? simply because they refused Allah to be number one in applying what should be done in their lives, which means Allah has no priority in their life. Okay, they are like some cool Muslims in our days now. You know, cool Muslims, the white-hearted people, أصحاب القلوب البيضاء. Sheikh, it's okay. أنا صح ما بصلي وصح ما بصوم وصح ما بزكي وصح بصاحب وصح بس أنا قلبي أبيض والله بيعرف نقطة. You know this? You know this way of hair? You know, which means, okay, you know, they design Allah as they want. They re-portray Allah as they want. Allah, from their point of view, is the one who accepts from them what they decide should be done and should not be done. Which means, as if Allah's commandments is a market, free market. Okay, Allah, you are nice in this, I pick it. But I'm sorry, Allah, but this is, I disagree with you with it. Okay, I will pray, Allah, but hijab, sorry. Practically, I'm translating practically what some Muslims do in practice. Okay, I agree with making a dua, but please, zina, cigarette, alcohol, no, sorry. Practically, this is what used to happen. So basically, at-Tawheed, the core point of at-Tawheed, to let the commandment of Allah, the will of Allah, what Allah wants comes first in your life. This is the Tawheed. Basically, depending on that and understanding that Allah is Ar-Razzaq, in light of this big umbrella, let's come to understand some details about Ar-Rizq. First of all, no definition, no prohibition. What is Rizq? You know, in English today, no definition, no prohibition. You know what does it mean? If we do not define what we are talking about, anyone can say anything and no one can say yes or no about anything. Like Mr. Bush, for example, when they started attacking after September 11th, they started attacking terrorism. So whenever they want to attack a country, they attack because they are terrorists. Okay, Mr. Bush, for God's sake, wallahi, we hate terrorism as well. We want to fight terrorism with you. Can you define terrorism for us? No. You know, because if they define terrorism, definition means it could be applicable on some of their alliance. That's why they came up with the conclusion that anyone who's with us is a freedom fighter. Anyone against us is a terrorist. That's it. Which means no definition. No definition. That's why they say no definition, no prohibition. In Islam, we are the people of clarity. We are the people of purity. We are the people of transparency. Clear definition. When we say about something, this is black and white, right, wrong, haram, halal, very clear. We don't play in the gray areas, Muslims. This is what distinguishes us, by the way. So be careful. You should be proud of this. By the way, our religion is based on the concept of lakum dinakum waliya din. We need to distinguish sometimes. So let's come to the definition. I'm just giving you the justification of the importance of the definition when we discuss something. So that's why before talk about Rizq, I need to talk about Al-Razzaq, and he is only Al-Razzaq, the sustainer. Before I discuss Al-Razzaq, I need to talk about Tawheed, monotheism, oneness of Allah. Now, if we want to discuss Rizq just from fiqh point of view or linguistic point of view, without reminding ourselves to possible misconception, which is Tawheed means Allah is first in everything, as if I'm wasting my time. Just an entertainment, intellectual session, nothing more than that. So let's come now, in light of this, to speak. Now, what is the definition of Rizq? Rizq, subhanallah, Imam al-Sha'rawi, Sheikh Muhammad al-Tawali al-Sha'rawi has a very beautiful definition. قال رزقك هو من تفعت به وأما ما تملك فأنت مؤتمن عليه لورثتك وتحاسب عليه. I repeat, we have a big misconception in what we have. Number one, a rizq basically is what you get benefit of, not what you own necessarily. You might be owning something and it will be a trust in your hand. You will be held accountable by Allah, but it's not your rizq. It's a trust for your inheritance. Rizq is just what you get benefit, what you eat, what you wear, what you use, what you consume, which could be 1% of your wealth. The rest is not your rizq. The rest is just a trust for the others. If we are discussing now the rizq as wealth or money, but just I'm giving you a definition, which is what you get benefit of. طيب. أنواع الرزق. Types of rizq. Many people, they misunderstand the relation with Allah because Allah is not giving enough rizq from their point of view. This goes directly to the misconception of they thought, unfortunately, that rizq is just wealth and money, which is a big mistake. Anything you get benefit of is rizq. Let's count together. Your reputation is rizq. Your physical power, muscles is rizq. Your connection is rizq. Your IQ, intellectual power is rizq. Your family is rizq. Your parents is rizq. Your understanding, your circumstances, the happiness, the money, the opportunities, that if all of these things are part of rizq. And by the way, pause. Each type of rizq has its own compulsory zakah. To continue fixing possible misconceptions. Most of us, we know the literal zakah of the wealth, which is 2.5% in case if it's applicable and eligible, which is, hal al-hawl and 1 year and the nisab and wealth. What about the others? But I have connections. I know 10,000 people. They love me and I love them. I can communicate with them easily. What should be my zakah? Okay, I don't have money, yes, but my zakah sometimes with one telephone I can solve 10 troubles, which could be equal to $1 million. No one can solve them except me because of my connections. Halal wasta. You know halal wasta? Through the connection. You help people through your connections. Type. Your character, your zakah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you the ilm. The ilm. You had a golden opportunity to seek the knowledge. Someone was paying for you. Someone was supporting you. Someone was taking care of you. Someone else was dying to seek the knowledge. He was not able to have the knowledge, Islamic knowledge or any type of knowledge. The zakah now, I'm not talking about Islamic knowledge now, any type of knowledge. Now the zakah, you are very clever in math, for example. Part of your zakah to teach the poor and needy people, at least from the people that you know in your neighborhood, in your area, to help them rather than because I am the nerd, the clever. Look stupid, you do too math. حمار تيس بفهمش رياضيات. No. This is kufr literally. With the literal meaning, kufr bin ni'mah. Which means Allah gave me the clever. By the way, I need no more than just, a peel of a banana in a slippery stair and I will lose my brain. I will go to the hospital and I will be the most dumb person, on earth. So please, let's get them. So the rizq, types of rizq, each rizq has its own type of zakah. Connections, power, relations. I'm very influential. I have a very powerful charisma. What is my rizq? You must be a da'iyah. غصب عنك. Because you have the power to influence the people. Allah gave you a very powerful character. You go and spend it where? For example, I'm just giving you an idea. So this is the definition of rizq. Rizq is not just money. Third point we need to know. Rizq in terms of our relation between us and Allah, please open up brackets now. It's عطاء وهبة وهدية غير ملزمة من Allah. Which means it's a bounty, it's a gift from Allah. Allah decides when, how to give it. There is no preconditional thing necessarily, which means, okay, why do make dua? Why do such and such? Because I want Allah to give me such and such. But what if Allah decided not to give you such? I would be very angry from Allah. Misunderstood the relation. I'm a servant of Allah, I'm a slave. I submit as a Muslim. I keep asking Allah. Allah decides what type of rizq will come to me, what is the level and why. And if He decide not to let this type of rizq comes to me by His will as well, alhamdulillah. We need to understand it. Otherwise, we will delve into misunderstanding, which could be similar to some of atheists. They deal with Allah, for example, through what they call the problem of evil, mushkilat al-shar. They look at Allah. Look, the biggest question in the area of atheism, which is rejecting the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, denying the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Atheists who reject completely that there is a possibility that God does exist. One of their biggest problems, the problem of evil, which means if this Allah does exist, hey, Sheikh, do you believe in the existence of Allah? Yes. This Allah, is He merciful? Yes. Is He capable? Is He able to do whatever He wants? Yes. But on what basis He's leaving the people of Syria, the people of Chechnya, the women in Bosnia, what happens and why He's leaving them? Where is His power and mercy? You, Sheikh, this is a proof that Allah does not exist. This is how they said it. I say this is a very childish way of understanding. On what base, Habibi, you decided Allah is just Rahim and Qadir? Habibi, Allah has 99 other names. Do you have an idea about them? Let me educate you about something. In addition to the fact that Allah is Rahim and Qadir, Allah as well is Alim and Hakim, which is the all-wise and the all-knowing. He knows what you don't know, and He does things according to wisdom that you don't know. So when you judge Allah, it's not just because of mercy. It's like, imagine yourself taking your kid who's 5 years old, passing by a hospital, out of a sudden they had a problem, they had to push you through the corridor, you passed by a big, let's say, wall of glass, and there was a surgical operation inside. And there is a doctor, a very famous one, and someone lying down, he lost completely his conscious. They are opening his belly using this knife, and the blood comes inside the hospital. This is a surgery. Now, your kid has no idea at all about what's happening. For him, according to the movies that he used to watch, Daddy, look to the murderer. Daddy, killer. He's killing them. No, Habibi, he's a doctor. I don't care, he's a killer. This is, you don't know. No, you don't know. He's a killer. Does he hold a knife or not? Yes. Is there a blood or not? Yes. Is he hopeless or not? Can he defend himself? No. So, he's a killer. The problem is, your kid has no knowledge. He is ignorant. This is exactly what happened with some atheists. They keep judging Allah through their old, narrow glasses, childish way of judgment. Broad, Allah is not just merciful. You are a merciful. Sometimes you take your kid and you give him this kind of needle. This is very painful. You are crying, yet you are giving this. It's painful, but you know the consequences of this medicine inside his body. So you give it to him, even though he's crying out of pain for a cure in the future. So this needs knowledge. Walillah al-mathal al-a'la. Now we go to next points. Type. What is our relation with any type of rizq? On top of the rizq, the money. Trustees, that's it. It's a trust. We have no power, no authority to take a final decision except under the ruling of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by the way, you might be astonished to know now, this concept is the main reason, justification why committing suicide is completely haram in Islam. You know? Because we don't own our bodies. Do you know this? My body? Yes. I don't own my body. That's why the classical old types of tattoos are prohibited, because you hurt your body. I have no right in Islam to hurt my skin. If I say, Sheikh, this is my body, I want to do this. It's a sin. But this is my hand. It's not your hand. Sheikh, are you crazy? This is my hand. It's not your hand, Habibi. Your body belongs to Allah. And Allah is the one who decides when the soul will leave this body and this body will ruin. It's not you. That's why if you decided to kill, Allah will allow you and you are committing one of the major sins in Islam, attacking the right of Allah by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this body is rizq. My power is rizq. My money is rizq, but I don't own it. It's just a trust in my hand. I do with it what my master. I'm a slave, I'm a servant for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, when we talk about the source of income, it should be halal. What is the justification for halal? Simply because everything belongs to Him and I myself belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as a servant with my master, I have just to seek it from a halal source and to spend it in a halal source. In light of this, we understand the very beautiful, powerful Sahih hadith. It's a long hadith, but as a part of it, وذكر الرجل يطيل السفر أشعث أغبر يمد يديه إلى السماء يا رب يا رب ومطعمه حرام ومشربه حرام وملبسه حرام وغذي بالحرام فأنى يستجاب لذلك. Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم mentioned someone who's traveling a long distance. He is suffering a disaster. He's shaggy. He is full of dust. Very troubling. He's in need. And he is asking Allah, admitting Allah's existence, Allah's power, and he's begging Allah, which means if you were in the place to help, you will help him out of sympathy. Yet, Prophet Muhammad sallam continues, buts and problems always comes after buts. مطعمه حرام, مشربه حرام, ملبسه حرام, غذي بالحرام. His food, clothing, money, drink, everything comes from a haram source. قال فأنا يستجاب لذلك. So, how come do you think Allah will respond? This will lead us to why sometimes our dua is not responded to. Because of mawani' ijabat, the obstacles in the face of dua. It has to do with the halal source of income with all types of rizq type. Now, on what basis Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to give you some certain type of rizq? According to the Sharia, I will give you some ways how to gain the rizq. But you can't decide exactly the type of rizq. But one of the guaranteed ways that will bring extra rizq to you. For example, من أحب أن ينسأ له في عمره ويوسع له في رزقه فليصل رحمه. صلة الرحم now, to try to connect yourself with your relatives, your aunties, your uncles, people taking care of صلة الرحم. One of the divine ways that your rizq will be what? Maximized. When, how, I don't decide, but this is like an open gate if you want extra rizq and everything. I'm not talking about money now. Because the barakah in your time is rizq. Happiness in your heart is rizq. No problems between you and wife is rizq. No clashes at home between you and your spouse and the kids is rizq. It's rizq. Some people, they pay thousands just to fix problems in their house. Some people, they pay hundreds of thousands for, solicitors, lawyers in the courts. Just not one of them not to go to jail. So when you have an excellent relation, is rizq. It's tawfiq, guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can I have this type of rizq? We have different ways. We have the dua. We have the sadaqah, for example. Now I need the rizq of protecting someone sick in my house. Dawu mardakum bis-sadaqah. This is a special divine law. Arzaq, our understanding for the rizq has nothing to do with mathematics. Be careful. Has nothing to do with physics. Physics laws, mathematical laws, they are not applicable on the concept of rizq between us and Allah. Because if it's according to mathematics and physics and logic, the very clever person, high IQ, Ph.D, professor in Harvard, should be a multimillionaire, which is not the case. Someone without a degree, no education, low income, broken family, should be very poor. But in reality, many of them, they are multimillionaires. By the way, the majority of multi-billionaires on earth, they did not have their bachelor degrees. The majority. This is the magic of Allah. Don't ever think the fact that you have these types of power, you will gain these things. No. This is another law. You do the sa'i, according to divine law. Divine law, for example, you have a rizq come from here. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبْ. This is the law. The law that you are asked to keep asking, doing good. Ya Allah, I'm doing good for your sake. I'm doing for good your sake. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. The rizq comes from here. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. I want this rizq. Out of a sudden, rizq comes from here. It is the law. It is the law. وَيَرْزُقْهُ. It's not my word. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Your job is to apply, be mindful of Allah. Your job is to do taqwa. Your job is to respect of the will of Allah. This is your job. After doing so, the rizq could come at any time, in any form, from any gate, which in specific, it's completely out of your calculations. Even if you are so clever, you put 10 possibilities. It came from possibility number 100 there. This is the law. It is not my words, Allah's words. وَيَرْزُقُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبْ. So don't busy your mind when and how. Busy your mind to do your job, which is وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ. And what is under your hand. Type. One of the other ways, sincerity. Let me tell you this quick story. By the way, I was in charge of following my time. I have no idea how many minutes I spent so far. So please tell me how many minutes still I have. 5? So in the Arabic way, 12. Okay? This is how it's translated. You know, translated 12 now for me. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm joking. طيب. Jazakallah khair. So I read it at 12, by the way. Let me tell you this very quick story about the concept of, how the rizq could come. Someone that I know, I lived for a year in Dallas, Texas, in the United States. So I was giving in one of the masajid, a khatira. One of the brothers there, his name is Dr. Umar Shaheen. He's from Jordan. He had a Ph.D. in Usul al-Fiqh from Al-Madinah al-Munawwara. He told me this story about himself. I'm quoting him. I'm rephrasing the concepts. And please focus, because the surprise will come at the end of the story. And inshallah, I will finish my talk with this. Dr. Umar Shaheen said, he came, I think, 25 or more years ago to the United States with a very humble, simple, broken English. In his own terminology, he said, بالعربي كان بيحكي معي. He said, أنا معي لغة مكسرة, broken English, very weak. He holds PhD in Usul al-Fiqh, principles of Islamic jurisprudence. He was imam of the masajid in Dallas, Texas. But his English was not that so good. He said, once I received a telephone call, which is very common there, from the local prison there. They want the imam of Muslims to come to give, it's very, very familiar there. So, do you mind to give a lecture about Islam for the prisoners? I said, no, I don't mind. He said, but I was inside, I was really, really, afraid, because I have a very weak, humble English. Can I deliver a message? I said, Ya Allah, tawakkaltu ala Allah. So I went to that prison. He said they were very dangerous prisoners, to a degree when he gave the speech, 2 well-equipped with full machine guns, guards into his right and left, because they were afraid there were 60 prisoners. 60 of them, they were expecting any of them just to, to get rid of him, just for the sake of entertainment. I don't know. Because it's really very dangerous. Anyway, he said, Wallahi, for about 15 minutes, I started the meaning of Islam, submission to Allah. I said, I was not expecting any kind of response. I finished my things. I started putting my papers. Then one of them, he said, hey, excuse me, if someone wants to follow this religion that you have just told us about, what he's supposed to do? It means he's asking about embracing Islam. Dr. Umar, he says, excuse me, did you understand what I say? I said, yes, I want to. He said, are you sure? Because he said, Wallahi, I did not expect them aslan to understand my message. So he did not just understand it. No, he did not understood it. No, he wants to embrace Islam. And he said, Wallahi, okay, alhamdulillah, yallah, okay. Say after me, Ashhadu an la ilaha, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, Muhammad is messenger. I was so happy. While he was about to finish the shahada, second one raised his hand and said, I want to embrace Islam. While the second was doing the shahada, the third raised his hand. While the third, the fourth, the fifth, while the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 26 person in a row, they declared the Shahada. Dr. Umar was telling me, he said, Wallahi, I felt as if I'm dreaming because I was not expecting Aslan to understand anything from my speech. So, now, by the way, the amazing, astonishing part of the story is not here, but I will tell you later. Assalamu alaikum. No, I'm joking. Okay, no, I'm joking. Okay, no, I will finish the story. Okay. Look what happened. He said, you can't imagine how happy I was. Can you imagine? 26 person with broken English, simple, humble English, hardly like our, we are in Jordan when we finish our government school. The best we keep saying I mean, we'll P, we change it to B, Bipsy project to this kind of funny things. They keep making jokes against us. Anyway, so he did it. Look to the amazing part of the story. He said, I left, went home. A few hours later, telephone call. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Is this Imam Omar? Yes, speaking. Okay, I'm a normal American. I took your number. I want just to ask about Islam. Do you mind? No? Okay, please come to this address, my masjid, before the Isha, and I will answer your questions. He said, okay, no, khalas. Now, close that file, okay? This is a new file. Then we'll see the connection. He said, I went a few hours later to the Maw'id appointment. He came, this brother. When I saw him, I felt as if I know him, but I'm not sure. He said, excuse me, do I know you? I said, no. Okay, maybe. Okay, well, most of Americans, they are white and with, blonde hair. Okay, no problem. Okay, what's your question? Started asking questions. The Isha started the Adhan. He said, do you mind waiting at the end of the masjid till we finish? He said, no. He was waiting. We did the Isha. We prayed. Once we say, Assalamu alaikum, he started crying, screaming heavily. I want to embrace Islam. I want to become a Muslim. Taban, basically our custom, all the people, Allahu Akbar, Takbir, all of them. He did the Shahada and they hugged him and he became a Muslim. After the celebration, the party finished. All of them, they left the masjid. He kept there staying for Dr. Umar. He came to him, I want to admit now. He said, what? Actually, you know me. He said, who are you? He said, I'm one of the 2 guards at the prison. 27. He was there listening. Look to the message. He was listening. He was touched with the simple, humble, nothing, no power. He himself talked about that. But he managed to convert 27 person. What is the morale? The wisdom behind the story. I'm talking about sincerity and what brings out of sincerity from Rizq. I'm giving you one of the ways. Leave mathematics when dealing with Rizq and Allah. Leave physics. Leave all of these things. This is a very simple, humble, weak English, person, broken English, managed to convert 27. Wallahu hasibuhu, wallahu a'lam. The only reason that we can explain in light of our Islam is ikhlas, sincerity. So, to sum up, ya ahibba, our core point is Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know the Arabic way. By the way, by the way, do you mind just saying wa alaikum assalam to my followers? That's what I say. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. This is a message of peace from all wonderful brothers and sisters in One Ummah conference in Calgary, Canada. Assalamu alaikum for all of you. Jazakum Allahu khairan. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.